Do we have a video? Oh, sorry. Okay, it is 5:30. Welcome to the February Russellville School Board meeting. Media has been made aware of the meeting, and at this time we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. Do we have a Student of the Month presentation? Oh, yeah, okay.
congratulations to all of our February Student of the Month and staff members of the month. Thank you for setting an example of excellence and being difference makers in the Russellville School District.
Okay, down to number 4, which is approve any addenda items, which I don't believe there is any. So it takes us to number 5. Mr. Weisler, stadium upgrade progress report, sir. Oh, Ira, sorry, excuse me.
All right. Can everybody hear me? Let's go ahead and go to the next page. I'm going to go ahead and run through the drawings here and just go through what we've talked about before, but now I've got it all on paper here. So on the right side, you can see where we've got the new band bleachers, and that's going to be for around 250 students. And at the bottom there of on the left side, we've got new ADA access to the main stadium area, and also ADA access to the back now too. And in the back, we'll have the concessions and the restrooms on the first floor, and the stairs leading up to the first floor of the press box, which is at the top of the bleachers there. If we want to go to the next page. Go ahead and go to the next one. Yeah, here's kind of the overview of what we've got right now. Kind of see in the bottom right-hand corner the band bleachers and the new press box. It's going to have stairs on either side of it. Of course, 2 floors there. If we can go to the next page. On the top left there is kind of the back view of it. We'll have an elevator going up to the first and second floor of the press box, and then the bottom left corner, that top left view, you can see the new concessions building. Anybody have questions about anything? Here's the first floor. We're going to add additional men's and women's restrooms. We've got the elevator lobby, and a spot for the fire sprinkler system for the press box. We can go to the next.
Hey, Ira.
Yeah.
Scroll back. I probably should ask sooner. The bandstands over there, was that for? I was thinking a different number on that max capacity. Was there a limitation?
Was it 250 to 300? I wasn't sure what we were going.
Yeah, it was 300.
I think it was 300 is what we were.
300. Okay. So we'll get to that drawing. I've got it in here, but I'll need to add 2 more rows to the back.
Okay.
Well, can I ask another question about the bandstand too? I see you've got like disability access. Is there also disability seating for like a student or a couple of students?
Yeah. If you want to keep scrolling until we get to the picture of the bandstand, that's fine. The page number, I think, is B.
Yeah.
Okay, here it is. So that's the kind of the floor plan of the band bleachers. So we've got stairs on either side, and we've got handicap access to that landing that's at the bottom, and that's 5 feet wide there. And then the rest of the bleachers are on up there. We also have I'm showing a 10-foot spot in the front too, in front. If you want to scroll to the next one, we can see that's kind of what it looked like from the front. And here's the side of the band bleachers. Okay, we want to go back to the second floor of the press box. Okay, you can stop there. So, yeah, here's the second floor of the press box. It's the same layout. We will have an open area in the center there for filming. Each floor has a bathroom, elevator access, and the stairs going down. We will have windows that open along the front that are also tilted out to reduce glare. Go ahead and go to the next sheet. There's the side of it. Exterior stairs, just going to do galvanized steel, some metal panels there on the building with some accent colors. And the elevator shaft would be masonry, and everything on the ground floor would be masonry as well for durability. People are going to be touching it down there. That's what you'll see when going to the bathrooms from the backside. That's kind of the from the field. Yeah, that's kind of a section through it. You can go to the next. We'll have the elevator again, and the windows do tilt out there. You can kind of see that on the right side. And we will have platforms in each box. So you'll have a front viewing area and then a rear viewing area. Okay, that would be the concessions building, and concessions building elevations be masonry, match the colors to the existing buildings on campus. And then here's the band grandstand again. This would be the ADA improvements to the main bleachers there. So we're going to be widening the front walk to basically what's going to be the entire width there to the track now. And then we'll have ramps on either end for ADA access and some stairs there to make it traffic move a little bit faster, and then ADA access all the way to the back. Just kind of showing the sides of it here, and again what it's kind of look like from the field with the ramps and everything. And that was just kind of a quick overview of where we're at with the drawings. And
Where are we at as far as starting to put RFPs out and stuff like that?
Right now, we were scheduled to finish drawings, I think, beginning of April. Due to COVID, my entire office was shut down for like a month, and I'm playing catch up right now, but it looks like we're going to have to push that schedule about a month.
Okay.
So we would be getting pricing, I think, in June.
So not to bog down the meeting, so we talked about at one time doing something at the visitor side while we were doing construction on the home side. Is that still in the discussion, or are we just going to leave everything? How are we thinking?
I don't have that in there yet, but yes, we're going to have a additional, it'll be the visitor
Press box.
permanent press box, but when we tear down the existing one, the home side will be over there for a season until we get the new one built.
Did we have, I know that Mr. Dove at one time was concerned about his students, his band students being able to see the field. Did we take care of that problem?
You're about 4 feet above the field to where that is, and then you go up another, I think it's 2.5 feet to the start of the bleachers. So you're about where the top of the main bleachers start for the stadium. So you're up about 6 feet. That's where there shouldn't be any visibility issues. I mean, it's going to be, what they have now.
Hey, Jason, appreciate it, Ira. I'm sure there's a lot of fine details, but could we, between maybe now and the next board meeting, maybe have a buildings and ground to get Jeff to bring in the stakeholders? I just, little things like, you know, the band, the track, the soccer, the football, I really like those stakeholders to be able to, you know, I hear the windows being able to slide or push out. Those details, when I look at that, I get a little concerned, so that might help. We had one meeting, and it was very helpful for everybody, especially, I think, Chad and Ira, to hear the stakeholders as well. And we're a little further along now.
That's fair.
Yeah, we've got some good drawings to look at now.
Very nice.
Yeah, that's good. Thank y'all. I appreciate it. Thanks so much. Anybody else have anything? Okay, appreciate it.
Thanks.
Okay, that takes us to number 6, Dr. Turner. There she is, right there. COVID update.
Hey, do you guys have the graphic? I thought it would pop up. Do we know? You don't have it? Okay, so we're going to go without it. So basically, on February 1st, the governor had a press conference, and stated that schools are no longer required to look for probable close contacts, and they're also no longer required to quarantine. So at this point, it's up to you guys, but my suggestion would be to just go to just isolating positives. And that would mean test to stay would go away because we wouldn't need to test them. Our nurses, would no longer chase down kids that may be contacts. We would expect the parents to tell us if they're positive.
Got it.
Any questions?
No, one thing you said in our conversation was the testing is still available.
Yes, we do. We still have a surplus of tests, so we have to do something with them. So if a student does have those symptoms or a staff member, we could test them for them.
Got it.
As long as those supplies last.
Is everybody okay with the pamphlet that you received that's in there? Because that's what we will put
That's
on our
how we go to the
website.
public. Yeah. So basically it is, if you're sick, you stay home. It gives those reminders. If you have a fever, you need to stay home for 24 hours till you're fever free. If you have symptoms, you need to still stay home and see, test, wait until they're better. It also reiterates our COVID email. That's working really well. We're getting lots of emails every day just answering those questions to keep our nurses from getting so many phone calls. And we're also creating a form that we can send to those. So if Mr. Keister calls me and says, hey, I'm positive, I'm going to send you this form so you can put all the information in for us to have, so you don't have to worry about calling or emailing more.
And this will be effective immediately if you vote to send, so we'll get that on the website tonight. And is that what you want, or do you want it a certain date?
No, it's not.
You need to specify that.
Okay, board, at this time, I would take a motion to accept the recently released guidance from the governor and in-test stay program per Dr. Turner.
I make a motion that we accept Dr. Turner's recommendations.
Second that, and the date is today, correct?
Via 2-8. Mr. White, are you good with adding 2-8?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, have a motion and a second. Any more discussion?
I just have a question. So I looked through it, and it does follow the Arkansas Department of Health guidelines. It's practically exactly, word for word on there.
Yes, ma'am.
With the exception, and this is corresponding to the ADH and the CDC, that if they test positive, they're supposed to stay home for 5 days, and when they come back, they're supposed to wear a mask for 5 days. So
Yes.
that's my only concern. If everybody wants to follow the expert advice guidelines, that's what we need to be doing. And it's just for those students that are recovering from being positive.
Right, and we haven't been those 5 days just because that was voted against at the last board
I know,
meeting.
but if we're voting on this again, I want us to not just do below minimum. We want to excel in everything in our school. And following the ADH guidelines and CDC guidelines, that's at least getting the minimum of what we need to be doing to make classrooms safe for these kids.
I will add too that the AAA return to play is still in place too. So those students do have to still go to a medical doctor and be released. They do still have to wear masks certain days and follow a particular protocol. So even if we vote this, they still have to follow those guidelines too.
Thank you, Dr. Turner. Board, I have a motion and a second. We have any more discussion from the board? Okay,
Can I make a motion to amend the plan?
I don't think so.
Okay.
No, ma'am, I don't think you can at this time. Okay, so we'll take a vote on this one, and if this one doesn't pass, Holly, then you can make a motion. Okay. Mr. White,
Yes.
Ms. Nguyen,
Yes.
Mr. Barrett is not here, Mr. Keister,
Yes.
Mr. Jackamore,
Yes.
Mr. Golden is a yes. Ms. Hall,
No.
motion passes. On to number 7, consent agenda. If nobody has anything to pull out, the consent agenda will be considered approved on number 7. Anybody need to pull anything out? Down to number 8, Mr. Robertson. The floor is yours, sir.
All right, we're going to take a look at period 7. It's another good month. You can see teacher salary fund, we ended with a difference of $184,267. Operating fund, we ended up $142,465. Debt service was difference of $805,655. Once again, it's difference from all the refundings that we've done in the past, has thrown our payments off from year to year. So you can see our legal balance, we ended up $763,853. So you can see the biggest chunk is if our debt was running year to year, we'd actually be down about $30,000. With the raises we implemented for this current year, that's actually we're doing better than expected. Really, that was due to we got I believe it was $40,000 for student growth. So the kid count's looking good. So if we can maintain that. Building fund, we have been being up $1,969,937. Capital outlay fund, we ended with a difference of being up $93,665. As you can see that note to the side, I always like to keep y'all up to date on, we've got about $337,000 of encumbered expenses that we're waiting to process. The bulk of that would be the instruments, band instruments. Federal grants fund, we had a difference of $961,559. Once again, that's just the timing of payments, reimbursement payments. Food service, we ended being up $668,747. Daniel, of course, he's itching to present and brag, and that's a good thing. But we're doing really well. So I had him send me some numbers, and just so y'all would have that for this month. Our reimbursement rates went up this school year, but he also reminded me they also went up again in January. So we've been benefited from 2 increases. But according to Daniel, we are up in meal sales, almost 25,000 up in breakfast and a little over 75,000 in lunch. So not only is the reimbursement rates higher, we're up 100,000 meals. So everything's looking good this year.
That's great.
But that is period 7.
Yep, I'd entertain a motion to approve period 7 financial report.
Go ahead.
I was going to make a motion to accept the finance report.
Motion by Ms. Nguyen,
I'll second.
second by Ms. Hall. By show of hands, all in favor? Passes unanimously. On to number 9, looks like personnel. I'd entertain a motion to approve A.
Make a motion to motion to approve personnel A.
Okay, which includes certified classified staff resignations, transfers, retirements, and employment. Got a motion by Mr. Keister,
I'll second that.
second by Mr. Jackamore. Show of hands, all in favor? It is unanimous. Thank you, board. Okay, number 10, policy. Mr. Ethan Hodge, the floor is yours, sir. And board, just before he gets started, we have 2 motions to approve number 10 policy, so don't let me mess that up.
So I'll go ahead and start first with the policies that there isn't a presentation attached to. So that's policy 3.19.1.1 and 3.19.1.2. Both those policies at the last PPC meeting, we voted that to recommend revoking those from our policies. And so that's a recommendation to you tonight. The other policy, 3.29, that's a school calendar. The school calendar has gone through a vote with all the staff, and we reviewed it in PPC, and we proposed it as a policy to be adopted by the board tonight as well. All right, so next is the presentation. So those are the ones that were kind of easier to deal with. And then on policy 3.1.1, this is license salary schedule. I'm going to kind of go through a series of points in my presentation, and then I'll just have someone move the slide when I say who am I pointing at. Okay. All right, so we're going to start with the background. So, like, how are we here? Like, why am I presenting as student? I want to make sure that you all it's clear to you all and it's clear to the audience as well. So, you go to the next slide. So, back in January, on January 5th, the Central Office Administrators presented a certified salary schedule to the PPC. We looked at it and discussed it and looked at a different proposal that was made from within the PPC. And we ended up voting at that meeting to form a subcommittee to meet with Mr. Robertson to discuss possible alternative options for salary schedules. That meeting was scheduled for the 19th of January, and we had it on the 19th. Now, between our meeting and that meeting, the school board met, and that same salary schedule was proposed to you all. You all adopted it as a proposal, and then that means now it was sent to the PPC for us to review. Okay, next slide. So we had a called meeting. This was different from our normal meeting on the 24th. At that meeting, the subcommittee presented the admin's points about the alternative salary schedule to us. And basically, admin was concerned about, well, first of all, admin really wants to increase salaries. That was the number one key thing that they talked about in the meeting. And then secondly, there was just some concern over cost, and we talked about how we can make our workforce more efficient here at the RSD. And we talked about student enrollment because that's where a lot of our funding comes from. At that meeting, we decided to go ahead and adopt a different salary schedule as a proposal to bring to you all at this meeting, and that's why I'm presenting to you tonight. So that brings me to, like, that's why I'm here doing this. So I want to make a real quick comparison of the proposals that have been in front of you, just so you know the differences. So next slide. So the original proposal, basically, it reduces some steps at the end of the salary schedule, but does not remove any columns or increase the yearly step. So there was really no change at the lower levels of the salary schedule and just some squishing at the end of the salary schedule. In that one, very few licensed staff would actually get a raise. So the PPC, our counterproposal we develop, we are reducing the steps and increasing the yearly step amount for every row. We want to remove some columns. We want to increase the base pay, and we want to do this, and most licensed staff will get a raise because of it. Here's our salary schedule that we proposed. You can see it reduces the steps from 30 to 25, and we remove some columns. We had 9 columns before, we made them into 5. And if you kind of work this out and you average out all of the numbers on the salary schedule, it's an average of a $2,800 increase, like row and column by row and column on the salary schedule if you average it all out. Okay, go to the next slide. So it's really important to understand why we want this. So this is what this is all about. We have 3 main points. First of all, we want to increase the base pay. We want to recruit, we want to do this to recruit new teachers. We also want to do this to retain quality teachers, and we want to make us more competitive with neighboring schools. And much of this I've already talked to y'all about in our meeting, policy meeting yesterday. We also want to decrease the steps. So basically you want to reach your top end salary earlier in your career so that you are at retirement salary at 25 years. That way you can have your highest salary for 3 years, and then you can retire at 28 if you want to. We also see this as a way to increase lifetime earnings for teachers, because if you're making more earlier in your career, then you make more in your life. And then lastly, removing columns. We want to remove some of the BA plus columns, MA plus columns, with the idea of encouraging people to complete degrees instead of like do parts of degrees. And we really think that has the potential to increase opportunities for students, because with different degrees, it allows you to offer different things to students. We had a lot of conversation about can we afford it? And so in the short term, we talked about how we could possibly use some rollover funds or some saved funds to cover this increased cost from salaries. But in the long term, what we really have to do is increase the efficiency of RSD. And I know we've talked a lot about how we can utilize our staffing in different ways to make sure that we're the most efficient we can be. Now, at our meeting, we discussed that we wanted certified staff member feedback. So I've got some results from you from that survey. So here are the survey results. 95.3% prefer the PPC counterproposal to the original proposal. And I had 256 respondents on that survey, and that was around 3:30 today, around that time. So there may have been some more respondents since then. And what are the next steps? So what can we do now? So you have 3 options at this point. You can motion to adopt the school board proposal as a policy, your original proposal. You can motion to adopt the PPC's counterproposal as a policy, so the one that was just presented to you. And, or you can make a motion to refer the PPC's counterproposal back to the PPC for further study and revision. And the choice is yours. Got it. Any questions or anything?
No, you did a good job yesterday educating us, so any more questions? Okay, so back to what I said just a second ago. Thank you, Mr. Hodge.
Thank you.
Let's start with approving policies B through H, which is the second motion. So I would entertain a motion to approve policy recommendation for sections B through H, which does not include this right here.
I'll make a policy to approve B through H.
Second.
Okay, I got a motion by Mr. White, a second by Mr. Keister. Any more discussion? Okay, Ms. Wynn? We're voting?
Yes.
Yeah. Mr. Barrett's not here. I'm a yes. Mr. White?
Yes.
Mr. Keister?
Yes.
Mrs. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Jackamore?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Board. That one passes. And so on the second one, as Mr. Hodge just said, is it still up there? We can entertain a motion to adopt the Board's original proposal. Number 2 is a motion to adopt PPC's counter proposal as policy, or number 3 is a motion to refer the PPC's counter proposal back to the PPC for further study and revision.
I'll make a motion to accept option 3, push
Okay.
it back to PPC for revision.
Okay. Board, I have a motion by Mr. Keister to, for number 3.
I'll second that.
Got a second by Mr. Jackamore. Any more discussion from the Board? Okay, Ms. Wynn?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Mr. White?
Yes.
Mr. Keister?
Yes.
Mrs. Hall?
Yes.
And Mr. Jackamore.
Yes.
Passes. Thank you, Board. Thank you, PPC. Takes us to number 11, Building and Grounds. We have none. I do need, Board, I did not ask you this, so Dr. McDonald starts March 14th. Our next scheduled board meeting will be March 8th. So I need a motion to approve to move next month's meeting from 3/8 to 3/15, so Dr. McDonald can be here for her first meeting. But I was told we need to do that tonight, so I need a motion for that.
Well, I'll make a motion to move the next board meeting to March 15th.
Got a motion by Mrs. Hall,
I second.
second by Ms. Wynn. All in favor, raise a hand. Okay. Passes unanimously. Let's do, is there any reason, we can do it, keep it at 5:30, right? Everybody good at 5:30?
Like.
Okay. At 5:30, and I want to say something real quick. I know there's not a lot of people here, and there's probably not a lot of people watching, but I want to thank the Board. This last month and a half, well, the last 2 years, but who we kidding? But the last month and a half, there has been a ton of hours put into picking our next superintendent. It was not an easy process. It was not made simple by any stretch of imagination. There was many hours stuck in that office down the road, and I want to thank all you personally. I think we all came for the right reasons, and we all talked openly and disagreed and agreed, and at the end of the day, we got to a place to where we're excited about the future of our district, and it took a lot of, I want the public to know. I mean, there's a lot of hours put in by these folks up here, and I appreciate you guys very much. So I did want to say that. I usually don't say a whole lot off the path here because everybody knows I like the 18-minute school board meetings. But all right, with that being said, our next item, number 13, we have a personnel hearing. At this time, Ms. Sharon is going to represent the school board on behalf of RSD. And Ms. Sharon, I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but for the most part, the floor is yours.
Andrew, we got to adjourn first. No? Well, I'm going bathroom.
Do we want to take a quick 5-minute, just kind of decompress, or Sharon, what do you suggest there? Do you?
The transition.
Yeah. Do we need to take a quick 5 minutes to transition? Okay, let's start. All right, so at 6:05, we'll start the hearing at 6:10. Okay, it is 6:10. As stated just a second ago, Ms. Sharon is going to represent us in this hearing. And at this time, Ms. Sharon, the floor is yours. I will say they'll get aggravated if you don't talk into the microphone.
Okay. Testing, testing.
There you go.
Okay, got it. Okay, I'm Sharon Street. Tonight I'm going to act as a hearing officer for the school board to have a personnel hearing. The personnel hearing is for Janice Kenzler, and this is a hearing held under the the School Employees Fair Hearing Act. The employee has a right to determine whether or not the hearing is open or closed. If it's open, anyone can sit in. If it's closed, only those people that are involved in the hearing will sit in, and the public will be asked to leave until such time as the board votes. Ms. Kenzler, would you state for the record whether you want it open or closed? Okay, so she's going to have an open hearing. Everybody, turn your phone off or turn your ringer down and step out if you need to use it. And I'm going to hope I did also. Okay, let me describe the procedure we're going to use tonight. The district will present its evidence and testimony first, and anyone who speaks for the district may be questioned by Ms. Kenzler and then by board members, or I may have a question that I think needs to be asked for the board. Then Ms. Kenzler will present her statement, evidence, whatever, and the board, the district will be allowed to question anyone who testifies for her, and then the board will ask questions or I may ask questions. After that, either side may give a closing statement if they want to, but they're not required to. Then I will instruct the board. I will give them some legal procedural instructions about how to make their decision. They will retire to executive session to deliberate, and then they will return to public session to vote on the recommendation. So now then, district, who's going to be speaking for the district?
Judy Pennington.
Okay, Judy, why don't you state your name and your position?
My name is Judy Pennington. I'm assistant to the superintendent for personnel.
Okay, and I'll just let you get started. First of all, you had a packet of information. Have you given that out?
Yes, I've given that a hard copy to each board member and to Ms. Kenzler, and I also shared with you guys electronically if you would prefer to follow along that way.
Okay, we'll let you get started.
Okay, so if you open the exhibits packet or your folder, the first thing you see is the termination letter, and I am going to read that to you, and it is linked here, the front and the back with the signature from the superintendent. This is from January 14th. You are hereby notified, Mrs. Kenzler, you are suspended with pay effective immediately, and that we will recommend to the Russellville School Board that your employment with the Russellville School District be terminated. The reasons for that recommendation are, number one, you violated Policy 8.5R regarding sick leave and outside employments, Policy 8.36 concerning workers' compensation, and that while away from work based on medical orders on a claimed workplace injury, you were nevertheless observed and photographed by district employees who observed you working at Walmart in Dardanelle, Arkansas. Furthermore, on 12/20 of 2021, you admitted to ASBA Workers' Compensation Claims Supervisor Misty Thompson that you were currently working at Walmart. Number two, notwithstanding that you already knew you had been medically released and were supposed to return to work on January 3rd, 2022, and that you knew you had exhausted all forms of paid leave available to you, and that you had asked for and had been denied unpaid leave that you wished to use to take a personal vacation to Disney World, you nevertheless did not report to work and appear to have taken your planned vacation in violation of District Policy 8.7R concerning leave. This is unacceptable. You have a right to a hearing before the Russellville School Board on this recommendation. In order to obtain a hearing, you must make a written request to my office for the hearing within 25 days of the receipt of this letter. The hearing will take place no fewer than 5 and no more than 10 days from the receipt of your written request, except that you and the school board may agree in writing to an earlier or later date. If you have a hearing, you have the right to be represented by an attorney or other person. You may call witnesses on your behalf, and you may question all witnesses in support of the termination recommendation. In addition, if you make a request in writing, a record of the hearing will be preserved and a transcript provided to you at no cost.
Okay, I'll just let you move forward.
Okay. The next thing in the exhibit packet is a statement of case, and this is an overview of the entire situation that then I will go through in a little bit more detail. So Janice Kenzler is a special ed aide at Russell Junior High. She started working for the school district in August of 2017 as a preschool aide. She was transferred to the junior high as a special ed aide in September of 2021, actually, because she could no longer pass the required CPR exam needed for preschool aides. RSD does recommend her termination for two major reasons: filing for workers' comp and under a doctor's order to not work from November 19th through January 2nd. But while under this no work doctor's order, she was also working at Walmart in Dardanelle. Two RSD employees witnessed her working there and took photos of her working. She admitted to working there to the workers' comp supervisor, but she continued her employment there, even when told by the workers' comp supervisor that this was not allowed. This does violate RSD policies 8.5R and 8.36. This reason is enough for termination alone, as stated in both policies. Second major reason, Janice Kenzler has been out of sick and personal leave days since October 20th of 2021. This is reflected on her November pay stub that she receives that clearly shows a balance of 0 paid leave days of any kind remaining. She did not ask approval for the 9 personal days that she entered into WillSub for January 3rd through 11th of 2022. She entered them into WillSub on November 29th, but the principals did not look at the week of January 3rd through the 7th until late December. She was emailed 3 times by Judy Pennington to tell her she was not approved for leave and that this would lead to disciplinary action up to termination. Janice was absent regardless from January 3rd through January 13th, 2 days longer than she had even said. She went to Florida to visit Mickey Mouse and for her nephew's surgery. This violates RSD policy 8.7R. I met with Janice Kenzler on her first day back, January 14th, to hear from her about this situation. She confirmed she works at Walmart. She was suspended with pay January 14th through February 8th, and she requested a hearing on February 3rd with the school board. Okay, the next thing is a timeline of events, and I will try to go quickly. You have in your file, everything that's hyperlinked in blue is a piece of paper in your file as well. So if you have questions, you might want to take notes on the timeline sheet so you don't get lost.
Slow down a little bit.
Okay, sorry. So just an employment and contract timeline so you're aware of the history. August 2017 was when she was hired as the preschool aide on 185 days, which is what is the preschool aide contract days. 2018-19, her contract was reduced to 173 days, requested by Janice because she was on Social Security and she did not want it to affect her Social Security income, so her salary had to be below a certain level. For 2019-20, that contract was changed to 169 days as requested. In 2021, 165-day contract, and that is the actual contract right there if you want to click that. Also in 2020, she signed the acknowledgement form that they sign every year that showed that she is aware of the classified policies. And the policies that have been violated with her circumstances have not changed since 2020. 2021, she was back on a 185-day contract as a preschool aide. From our understanding, because now that she turned 65, the higher salary won't affect her Social Security income. So when we get into 2021, through the month of August, Janice cannot pass her CPR exam that is required for all preschool aides as an essential job duty. So on August 31st, she met with me, 3:30 p.m., and we reviewed another position at the junior high as a special ed aide. And here is the letter job offer for her to sign, saying that because you failed the exam, you're going to be moved to the junior high. However, we do have another position for you. This would be a 180-day contract, ending the last student contact day, because she'd already worked the 5 days in August up front. She would keep her current salary and stay on step 5. She indicated with her signature there that she accepts this job reassignment. So that letter does show that the contract is for 180 days and ends the last day of school. September 2nd, she signed that offer, and it's on the September board meeting that she would start the new position and be transferred officially on September 3rd. September 2nd, the same day she signed it, she came by the personnel office to file for FMLA with Linda Lutz for the reason of broken neck in 4 places from June 2019. She still has headaches. FMLA was denied because she did not work enough hours the previous year. You have to work 1,250, and she only worked 1,127. So I have the form there for you to see. September 15th through October 22nd, Janice is absent from work for 18 days for surgery. And that shows those absences on this absence sheet. This used up all of her sick days and all 3 of her personal days. November 16th, she started working at Walmart in Dardanelle and is still currently employed there. On November 19th, she filed for workers' comp because a student hit her neck in the special ed room that she was in. And you can see her workers' comp report filed on November 19th. However, she did not go to the doctor's office until November 30. On November 19th, she would have received her pay stub, which is linked here, that shows that she has 0 days left right here on balance of sick, personal, any kind of days left. November 29th, Janice emails Michelle Gregory, who is a special ed designee for the junior high, to let her know that she will be off January 3rd through January 11th because her nephew is having surgery and Mickey Mouse is calling her name. Thank you. Michelle did not reply to this and assumed she had gotten approval from her supervisor. So you can see the email here where she's not asking to be off. She's just saying, hi, I will be off through the 3rd through 11th. I have a statement from Michelle Gregory right here. She did not reply to this. She assumed that she had approval from her supervisor either at the preschool or at the junior high. So she does describe that in her statement here, that the only email she answered was when she was already absent January 3rd through 11th to correct that it was her nephew and not her son that was having surgery, and she showed this to her supervisor. November 29th, Janice calls WillSub, which is our subsystem, and she submits her absences for January 3rd through 11th under personal. She did not use the junior high absence Google form that would have notified the principals of the absence at the same time. November 29th or 30th, Mr. Kordsmeyer has heard from Michelle Gregory that Janice was going to be out to Florida and was having surgery, so he called Janice into his office to ask about the surgery and the Florida trip. Janice said she was not having surgery, her nephew was, and she never mentioned that she would be missing work after Christmas break. So he assumed it was during Christmas break that she would be going. And here is his statement from Mr. Kordsmeyer. He mentions it's not until December 28th that he notices in WillSub to look for the upcoming week of school that she had put in for 7 consecutive personal days. Then he immediately contacts Dr. Turner and Miss Judy Pennington to inform them of the absences. November 30th, Janice went to the doctor for her neck injury that was on November 19th. The physician's report from that says that she may not work from that point all the way through December 6th. So I have the doctor's note here and it has the date at the bottom of the 11:30 and that she may return to regular duty on December 6th. So she's not allowed to work. December 6th, she returned to the doctor for another appointment at 10:30 a.m. This doctor's report says that she may return to work after Christmas break on January 3rd, so she could not work from December 6th through December 17th. The notes from that visit that are notable is that Janice requested a soft neck brace to wear, and the doctor placed it on her neck at this appointment. Janice was concerned about returning to work because of her neck pain and unusual sensation in her hands. She was advised not to work until January 3rd. She has not mentioned to the doctor's office on these visits that she works at Walmart. She agrees to the patient care plan. And those notes are linked as well right there. December 10th, Linda Lutz, who is an RSD personnel secretary, witnesses Janice Kenzler working at Walmart in Dardanelle around 4:45. She has a discussion with her. Janice was able to reach up to show her an item hanging above her head. Linda took a photo and sent it to Dr. Turner and Mrs. Pennington. And her statement is here that describes that. Linda was aware because she is the one who is the person you file FMLA paperwork with. We also have a picture that Linda took of Janice working at the Walmart. She does not have on her neck brace in this photo. On December 14th, Larry Wilson, who's a special ed teacher at the junior high, observed Janice working at Walmart in Dardanelle. She was stocking shelves and placing items over her head around 4 p.m. on Tuesday. So his statement says that. He's actually the special ed teacher, I think, that she worked with at the junior high. So we have his statement. He did take 2 pictures. He did not go talk to her. He was worried about a confrontation and his children were there. So I have the pictures of her working with no neck brace and able to reach above her head. On December 17th, Janice would have received her December pay stub, which shows that, again, she has 0 days left to ask to take. December 20th, Missy Thompson, the workers' comp supervisor, spoke with Janice and asked if she was working at Walmart. Janice said that she was, and Ms. Thompson advised her she should not be since she is on a no-work doctor's order. Ms. Thompson told her she would not be paid any further TTD benefits because of this. Ms. Kenzler did not stop working at Walmart after being told this. And this is the email from Missy Thompson to me when she described talking to Ms. Kenzler. On December 22nd, we have a doctor's report indicating that Janice could return to work on light duty December 23rd. That is over Christmas break during this time, so the next work day that would have been for light duty would be January 3rd of 2022. December 28th, Mr. Kordsmeyer sees that Janice has submitted those 7 personal days in a row on subteach from January 3rd through 11th. He immediately emails Dr. Turner and Ms. Pennington for assistance. He states in that email to us that she never requested these days off or got approved for these days. December 29th, I emailed Janice to let her know she is not approved to leave, that she is out of days, and that being absent will lead to disciplinary action. She does not respond to me, but emails Mr. Kordsmeyer again. December 31st, Janice emails Mrs. Pennington. Ms. Pennington responds again that she is not approved for leave. And that's linked there. January 2nd, I emailed Janice for the 3rd time to tell her she does not have approval for leave and that she should not have booked plane tickets knowing she had 0 days of leave to use. January 3rd through 11th, Janice is absent every day. She emails the assistant principal, the principal, and Michelle Gregory each morning to let them know she will be absent and that there is a sub. They do not reply to these emails. On January 5th, Janice emails Michelle Gregory and lets her know she will not be in January 12th or 13th either. That is down at the bottom. She's gone on the 13th and will be back on the 14th. On that one, she did say she would have subs, but subteach did not have absences entered for January 12th or 13th. On January 6th, I emailed Janice to schedule a disciplinary meeting to find out her situation on the first day she returns on January 14th. On January 14th, we have our meeting, heard her, and gave her a termination letter. So if you go back to the original exhibit page, I just want to show you the policies here. Those are also in your file at the very end. The 8.5R, classified personnel leave policy, the 2 sections that are violated are that only 3 days of sick leave may be used for personal business. All requests for personal leave must have prior approval of the principal or supervisor. And then also in that same policy, section 6, sick leave and outside employment. Sick leave related absence from work, such as for workers' comp, inherently means the employee is also incapable of working at any source of outside employment. An employee who works a non-district job while taking district sick leave for personal or family illness, workers' comp, shall be subject to discipline up to and including termination. That is the same paragraph that's in 8.36 about workers' compensation that she also violated. And then 8.7R about personal leave, and that you have to have any personal leave before or after a work day because of illness approved by the superintendent ahead of time. That is the end of my statement. Sorry.
Okay. Ms. Kenzler, do you have any questions for her? Do you, board members, have questions for her, for Judy?
None at this time.
Okay. Okay, Ms. Kenzler, it's your turn. And let's get you over to, Judy, maybe you could move so she could use that.
He wants to put that up here so they can see it easier.
Can you see it easier up on the table?
No, we'll make it work.
I have some pictures which
that so so for the record.
Okay. That works for me. All right. So, we're gonna go back a little ways. 12/29/17, I had rotator cuff surgery, and when I came back on restricted duty. You know, and it was basically don't pick up the kids, don't pick up the cots, don't pick anything up that's heavier, and that was my restricted duty. So, and I didn't have a problem with that. Okay, then we're gonna skip ahead to, well, first of all, this was going to be my 50th year and my final year in preschool. I was planning on retiring after this year and kind of looking forward to the extra $125 that I get for, what do you call it? Like almost the retirement benefit. Okay? So when all this happened, okay, so we're going to go on to told I flunked first aid and CPR. Told I couldn't be alone with children. And first aid CPR left class understanding that I had passed. Another staff member had heard the same thing also. All right, now, okay. Given an ultimatum to work at junior high school or I lose my job, basically. And I was given 1 day to decide, is that what you really want to do? You know, what's going on? I thought, and so of course, I signed it. Okay. After I signed it, I spent days in the classroom and all the way through working in behavior, not behavior, I'm sorry, the self-contained classroom. Okay, the self-contained classroom has 4 children in it and 2 aides. We were not given much direction from the lead teacher as to what to do with these kids, other than there was a series of videos that they could watch. I wanted to see them do more, so I tried to get other stuff to try to get them interested in. And there was the one child that constantly, to almost everybody, would reach them, grab them by the neck, shake them as hard as they could, hit them, kick, bite, pull hair. At the end, just before, all right, you can tell I've done this many times. Okay, so I was attacked by the child, which I don't like to use the word attack, but I can't come up with any other reason, any other thing to call it. And he broke my glasses, basically. So 11 days after that, they finally ordered my new glasses. Okay? So on 10/22/21, I had surgery. And I again was told, you know, I figured basically restricted duty meant, I went that out of order. Restricted duty meant, okay, you're in the same place, you're just not doing any of the stuff. And I couldn't see me going back in that classroom under, you know, you don't do this and you don't do that. My days were spent in the classroom with one other person, and also during meal times, twice a week, I would feed the one child and we would go into that classroom. And I had thought, you know what? I wish that I could have taken a video to show them exactly what happens when that door closes and I'm in there by myself. A few times I was able to get him, you know, to do something. Most of the time I wasn't. He wanted to go out one of the doors. He wanted to throw the computer, and I had asked for something to be done so nothing would happen to the computer. Basically, I would talk to Michelle, and she would say, "We're working on it. Just bear with us. We're working on it." And then I'm trying to think of what I was going to say. So anyhow, me going back on restricted duty as I knew it from the school board was, oh my God, I don't think this is going to happen. And in the meantime, I had thought, you know what? I don't think this is for me. I'm not sure. My last year, I wanted to make it a good one, but I can't see, you know, the chance of getting hurt. So I put an application in at Walmart, figuring, okay, let's try this. My hours were anything after 4 o'clock and on weekends to make sure, you know, that I kept this job to see where it was going to happen. Well, then, got my neck hurt. I went to the office and filled out the paperwork, and I called the workman's comp people, and because it was Thanksgiving, they had no openings until the following week. So that's why I went on the, I think it was the 30th, right? She told you when it was. So that was the reason I waited. And the thing is that I broke my neck in 4 places, which was the reason that they're telling me I couldn't pass my first aid and CPR. True, it took me forever because I can't do that with my neck. So when this happened in the classroom, I'm trying to make this quick. It was a weird day. It was the day when they had made the lunch, and so they wanted the whole area of the cafeteria-like thing in the room, and we went into the self-contained classroom to eat. We proceeded to, do you want me to hold it?
Nope. I'm gonna get you after.
Oh, I can get that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And take your time. You're not under any time constraint here.
Okay, I wasn't sure. Okay, so back to that date. Okay, so we had 4 kids. The one kid that attacked me also cannot have any solid food, period. End of story, ever, is what I was told. So we had the 4 kids in this little self-contained classroom. 3 of them are eating, and the 4th one finishes eating really, really fast. You know, you help him, and you can't take it slow because he doesn't do slow. He does either you do it or you get hit. You know, he wants it when he wants it, and if you don't do it right away, if you're trying to slow it down, then he'll hit you. I got to the point where I was wearing a hat the last little bit I worked there because that way I wouldn't get my hair pulled. So anyhow, what happened is we were in there for a long time. The kids were eating and enjoying themselves. He was done. He wanted to get up. So I pushed my seat up right next to him so he couldn't get out to get to the food from the other kids. And he started, you know, hitting and kicking and shaking. And finally I thought, you know what, this is not going to work. So what I did is I put my head down on the desk and I put my hands like this and I asked the other guy, I said, is there anything else I can do? And he said, well, no, not really. And I did that a couple, 3 times, and it seems like it was hours that I was in that position doing that, but I wasn't. I don't know how long it was, but all I know is I kept saying, is there anything I can do? We got to make this end. And so I don't know, honestly, I don't know whether he hurried up and got the kids out of there or whether he let them finish. And it just so, as he was letting go, I'm thinking, oh my God, I hurt so bad. And so that's when I went down, filled out the paperwork, blah, blah, blah. Okay, this is something, it was not on my bucket list to do. I have never in my life been on workman's comp. I have no idea what the rules are, what they're not. So I thought, well, you know, at the Walmart, what my mostly job is to stand there and go. They'd hold their hand out. I'd say, have you filled out your COVID survey? And I would take their temperature. You know, and anybody that knows me knows that's going to drive me crazy. So on days when I felt good, I would do other stuff. And I don't know if Linda Lutz is here tonight. Is she? I wouldn't know her if she bit me. I honestly, I don't know you. I've never seen you. Because I called you for FMLA, I called you for the other thing. I have never, honestly, I've heard your name a million times. But I wouldn't be able to pick you out of the lineup. Okay, but anyhow, back to where we were. So I they said, "Are you working?" I said, "Well, yeah." I said, I mean, I'm not in the classroom worried about dodging and weaving. The kid, I'm doing this. Did you fill out your survey? Did you fill out your survey? And I did that for 4 hours at night. So I just kept doing that, not even realizing that I was doing anything wrong. Maybe that's something that if you're gonna, do that rule, maybe there should be something that says, hey, when you're on workman's comp and it tells you this, you're not supposed to be working anywhere. Because I just figured I'm not supposed to be working here. I need a little bit of money coming in, so I'm gonna work here for 4 hours and just keep it, and then just in case this totally doesn't work out, at least I'll have another job to go to. Okay, so back to this. Okay, filed complaint, got into the doctor's office, and 11:30 till now is I'm still under a doctor's care. I'm not under a doctor's care for my neck, and I haven't been for about a month and a half. Because I told them that's fine. That's not my problem. I said the problem I'm having is my hands. I said they feel weird, and I went to a nerve doctor, and he said basically what the doctor had done for me, the surgery that he had done, the kid had wiped it out. And from having my neck jostled around, there are two nerves that got messed up in here, and that's why this hand is weird, but it all came from that. So, like I said, I'm stupid. I've never gone through any workman's comp or anything. When anybody asks me, are you working? Yeah, I'm working. Why? So that's the name of that. You guys have any questions?
Let's see if Judy has any first.
Any? Okay.
Board members, do you have any questions?
No? Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, I got it. That's okay. I'll drop this. And all the way through my master's, and I still hate talking in front of people. There we go. It's cool. It's cool. Okay, on the 26th of November, I had talked to my nephew. He was having surgery. I said, okay, you can start looking at the pictures. I don't know if they're going to make any sense to you or not, but that was what I was going to put on the slides. I had said, well, normally I take time off right after the first of the year, and I've done it ever since I've worked for Russellville Schools. And what I did with the preschool program, I would say, hey, okay, I'm going to take the first week after the first of the year off, and I'm going to, we're going to do something, and fine, go ahead, And that was the end of it. I think I had called Subteach or did anything with Subteach maybe 2 times. Otherwise, never. I mean, it was, you called in, you said, which I guess part of the reason could be because I wasn't sick very often. Okay, so I got the thing that my nephew was going to have surgery. I have 3 people left in my family. My nephew, my brother, who's 16 years older than I am, and my sister-in-law. My brother couldn't go down there. So I'm sorry, family comes first. Okay, so what I did was I talked to Mrs. Gregory, who I thought was my boss. When I was told you're going to go over, you're going to report to Michelle Gregory, and I thought, okay, so anything and everything, I went through her because it wasn't until Judy emailed me and said Mr. Kortzmeyer didn't know anything, and I thought, well, and she said, he's your supervisor. And I went, seriously? He's my supervisor? Okay, fine, good to know. But I emailed Michelle about the time I needed off, then I called Subteach, and I secured the time off, and if Subteach, it says approved or something, so I thought, well, good. They're seeing that it's approved, so everything is fine. Okay. Then I received the email from Mrs. Pennington. Not approved. Also found out that Mr. Kordsmeyer was my supervisor. Emailed Mr. Kordsmeyer because he had came down the day that I had hurt my neck and said, "You're having another surgery?" And I went, "Oh, God, no." I said, "My nephew is having surgery, and I want to be there." So some of the pictures that you see are the vacations that I've taken in January. Some of them are of the hospital where my nephew was at. And one was the time off that I emailed to Mrs. Gregory, who I assumed was my boss. And I think that's it. I just wanted to, like I said, I found this and I thought, whoa, does this apply? Okay. A single or repeated act or lack of appropriate action occurring within a relationship where there is an expectation of trust which causes harm or distress. That can be used for an older person in my case. That can be used for an adult in a classroom, and it can also, or not necessarily an adult in their job, or it can be used for a kid. You want to make sure that if you're sending somebody into somewhere, that you don't think that anything's going to happen. And this kid that I went into had repeated offenses with other staff members. And I just saw that and I thought, boy, that's pretty appropriate. So other than that, and being stupid and not knowing all the rules, and basically I've worked with kids for 50 years, and I don't want to see it done this way, but if it has to. End of story. Anybody have any questions?
Ms. Pennington, do you have any questions for her? Board members? Okay. Do either of you want to make a closing statement, or are you good with what you got?
Can I make a totally unrelated statement?
Sure.
Okay. Please take a look at that classroom. Somebody is going to get seriously hurt. When I went in there, they had few, if any, toys or anything. Not even that you could pull out of the shelf. They were using puzzles that only had 3 pieces because they lost the other 2. They had nothing for outside playground equipment or anything. So I went over, I just happened to be at getting my car done at Arkansas Tire, and I said, "Hey, can I steal a few of those Frisbees? Our kids will love it." And he said, "Why?" And he said, "Well, really, they don't have any toys or anything to play with outside." But anyhow, and he went out to Walmart the next day and bought a bunch of them, and we donated them, and he donated them to the classroom. You guys really need to, I mean, there's 3 kids in there. Well, the one kid's got a full-time aide. The other 2 kids could be doing so much more, but your time is spent with the one child who cannot be tested, does not have an IEP or anything. So you've got 2 kids. When he decides to go up on the children, he will pick on one, and the other kid will do that. He'll pick on the other one, and the poor kid just stands there and takes it. And he does it more because it's seen that it's happening. Something really needs to be done.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to give you all some instructions now, and I'm giving you my written copy of what I'm going to say, just for your benefit. You already got one. You wrote on. Pass these other 3 down. Okay. I need to give you these instructions. Attorneys and school boards do this work all the time, but Ms. Kenzler, this is her one time to do it, and she needs to understand how you're going to make your decision. She deserves our best effort to follow the law. The board will retire to executive session to deliberate regarding what you have heard this evening and ultimately make a decision on the superintendent's recommendation. And let me encourage you to limit your consideration to those reasons that are given in the letter notifying her of the recommendation. You've been given some history tonight, but that history is not relevant to why you're here tonight, so you want to limit your consideration to what's in the notice letter. The superintendent will not participate in this executive session as he might otherwise because he's the administrator making the recommendation, and it wouldn't be fair to the employee. While you're in executive session, you can take a straw vote to make your decision, but when you return to regular session, one of you will need to make a motion regarding the superintendent's recommendation. Someone will need to second it, and then you'll need to take your vote in public session. You can decide in executive session who will make the motion and who will second it. Now then, let me tell you, under teacher fair dismissal, we have to find whether reasons are true or not, and we have to vote on that. You do not have to do that in an employee fair hearing. All you have to do is see if you heard enough tonight that warrants truth, that you think that one of these reasons, at least one of these reasons, is adequate. And then you have to decide, even if it's true, is that enough to warrant termination? If you find nothing in the reasons that was true, then you really don't have a basis for making a decision to terminate. But if you find one, then you have three different choices. You can vote to accept the superintendent's recommendation, you can vote to reject it, or you can modify it if you want to try something other than termination. I encourage you, if you do that, to send the board president out to show me what you're considering as a modification, so that number one, I can make sure it's something that legally you can do, and number two, that the way you've written it is going to achieve what you're trying to achieve. Then when you return to executive session, oh, let me say this. If there's any other procedural issue you have a question about, you can send someone out to talk to me, but not about anything substantive. Okay, well, let me finish this and then I'll let you say it, okay? Now then, let me say tonight, I haven't said very much, but if I've said anything that makes you think you ought to decide one way or the other, then you need to ignore it, because that's not my intent and it's not something that you consider. Okay, Ms. Kenzler. Okay. All right, board members, do you have any question about your instructions? All right, executive session it is. Do you want us to leave or y'all gonna leave?
Probably easier if we left.
Okay, we'll let you leave.